Hello and welcome back to the Koi Pond Studio podcast. It's been a couple of weeks, but I am your host, Peter, co-founder of Koi Pond Studio. With me, as always, is my beautiful and talented wife, Casey.
Hello.
On today's episode, we're going to be showing you what's in the box. So we're going to take you through everything that we have inside our Koi Pond Studio kits and kind of explain to you why we made the choices that we made in terms of what we include. But first, as always, is the news. What's the news?
The news is that business is hard. Being a small business is hard, but it's good. It's fun. I'm glad that we're doing it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Obviously we're just starting out and unsurprisingly we have no idea what we're doing. And so, it's hard and we've had a few orders, some of them quite large orders actually, which has been very, very exciting. But, things have slowed down a little bit, and I think that's expected because we don't know what we're doing.
Do you want to tell them a little bit of what we're doing to try to get more orders?
Yeah, so I think as always with any small business, the first battle that you have to fight is just the battle of irrelevance and just letting people know that we exist and we're trying to shout our voice as much as possible, but we can only generate so much activity, and so in the beginning, it's a lot of work. So we're working really hard, as you guys have probably seen if you follow us on Instagram. We make a lot of content on Instagram, and we have got a lot of views from all over the world on that content, but turns out you need a lot of views to translate those views into orders. We also we just started running some meta ads as of just over a week ago now, and that's a whole new thing for us to learn. We were trying to figure it out. Do we just boost our organic content? Do we make dedicated ads? Do we have the ads go to both the US and the UK or just the UK? Mm-hmm. Obviously we're a UK based business, and so if you live in the UK, then it's much cheaper for you because you only have to pay domestic shipping costs. In fact, you don't have to pay at all right now. It's got free shipping on the website right now for UK orders. But the thing is, Needlepoint is just bigger in the US.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that we're grappling with. How are you thinking about it?
Yeah, so I think part of the uphill battle is just the concept of needlepoint in the UK is either people don't know what it is, so they don't know what to do with it, or they think needlepoint, oh, you mean the tapestry that's in churches and is very traditional, and so trying to communicate that what we're selling is, yes, similar to that, but a much more modern take. Just trying to get that out to the UK public is the main goal at the moment, I think.
Yeah, and we started this business kind of on the grounds that we believe that the UK would love needlepoint if it just got to know it better. There's loads of crafters in the UK. There's loads of people that we know, our own friends who craft. Basically all of my female friends craft in one way or another, and we just think that the UK just hasn't discovered needlepoint yet in the volumes that you see in America. Mm-hmm. And the American market is amazing because it's just so much more mature than the UK. You have all this infrastructure in place, and you have the local needlepoint stores, and you have this big online community, and everyone's sharing different suppliers and different threads and ways of finishing and whatnot. And so if you started a business in the US and you were selling to the US, then you kind of have that built in as the backdrop to your business, whereas we are this weird this weird fascinating company, UK based company, trying to promote it into a market that is still warming up to the idea of it.
Yeah. I will say that I went to a needlepoint painting class last month run by Frances Abel and Taton Tartan? Is that how you say it? I think. Nora. And that was brilliant. And there were British people there. And there was a class of 20 people. And usually when I go to the Cheeky Stitchers events, it's 90% Americans meeting up, like American expats looking for that community aspect. But it was really reassuring to see, people coming from Bath, from Swansea, all over, just to try to gain skills to get their hands on some needlepoint in the UK.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure like there are British people or people who live in the UK who are interested in needlepoint and probably would be interested in our stuff, but it's just a case of like, how do we get our message to them and convince them to try one of our kits? And I'm sure they exist out there and we haven't tapped into it yet, and I'm sure there's lots of people right now who are cross stitchers or crocheters or do some other kind of craft who I think would also love needlepoint, but just need maybe more time and more convincing that like it's worth giving a go and it's worth kind of trying a new thing, which is always a challenge. But I'm sure that like once people try it, they'll get it.
Yeah, they just need the foot in the door, catch the bug.
Yeah.
And then yeah.
Well, because once you get going, it's so enjoyable.
Yeah.
Right.
You're already planning your next project.
Yeah.
Shall we delve into the meat and potatoes of the episode?
The meat and potato. That's a very British phrase.
The meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes. Okay, now let's get into the meat and potatoes of our episode, which is what's in the box. So if you order one of our Koi Pond Studio kits, this is the box that you'll receive. It's nice and slim. It fits through your letterbox, so you don't have to answer the door, hopefully.
Yeah, don't even have to be in.
Don't even have to be in to get it. And Casey stamps every box with our Koi Pond Studio logo.
With love.
With love. And so if you open the box, what will you find?
So inside our box, you'll find tissue paper and like a handwritten note from me, but what you're really looking for is the kit, which comes packaged like this. So let's start from outside in. You've got our handy dandy project bag, which is this nice Koi Pond blue. It's got a handle that's vegan leather. It's a really good size. You might notice that it's larger than the actual project itself, but that's great because you can, if you have other projects, you can throw it in here as well. You can add stretcher bars to your canvas and then that will fit as well. And then if you want to use this bag for projects later on, it should be big enough to fit all your needs. The other really nice thing is that it is this like soft touch material that is waterproof, and I know because I have gotten water on my bag and I was able to wipe it right away. Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, but it feels really nice to hold. It's really good quality, very durable, and yeah, the important thing about the project bag is that it keeps all your stuff together, which just makes the whole stitching experience more enjoyable. I think you can bring it. Makes it more portable. You can bring it with you on the commute. You can bring it on the plane. You can take it just from different rooms to your house. Take it from the bedroom to the sofa. It just keeps it all very contained and together. And I think it's a key part of the experience, which is why we include it in every kit.
So let's start with what I recommend that the first thing you pull out is. It's the How to Get Started with Needlepoint guide that Pete and I designed ourselves. On the back is just a little note from me, and then if you open it up, you get the steps on, how to get started. This goes through how to choose your thread, cut it, and then thread your needle, as well as getting started with your stitches and anchoring your threads and such. But then if you open it up, we've got these lovely stitch diagrams for the 3 beginner stitches that we recommend that you learn, from Continental, which is the best beginner stitch. You can do all our canvases just using this Continental stitch. Basket weave stitch, which is great for larger areas as it's better for preventing warping. And then the couching stitch, which can just clean up some of your diagonal lines in some of our canvases.
Yeah. And one common question that we often hear is like people don't know what stitch to use. And so the answer is continental. Continental is the only stitch that you actually need. And so if you're unsure, just do continental. Continental is your only stitch that you need for the whole canvas. The other two are optional, but they are nice tools to have once you have mastered the continental, which only takes a couple minutes to do. But yeah, if in doubt, continental.
Yeah. So you've got these lovely diagrams that Pete has designed. They include the, warp and weft of the canvas, so that should help you with especially the basket weave stitch. But then if you're a more visual person, we also have the QR codes to our YouTube tutorials as well. And there's like a whole playlist of our beginner tutorials there.
Yeah, the video tutorials are really easy to follow. You can check them out on YouTube now, on this very channel, in fact, if you are interested. But yeah, one of the best ways to learn, I think, is just to have the video open, listen to Casey talking you through how to do each stitch, and just stitch along with her. And within by the end of the tutorial, which is only a few minutes long, like you'll get it.
Yeah, I love video tutorials because you can slow them down, you can rewind them, you just follow along, and even if it's like, okay, I do this bit, pause the tutorial, do my stitching, okay, now I need to anchor my thread, how do I do that? Play the video again and then continue on.
Yeah.
I think it's really handy. That's how YouTube is honestly how I've learned all my crafting skills. Yeah.
Yeah, and we tried to make it as easy as possible. So there's a whole playlist there that takes you all the way through from, unboxing your kit to like choosing your first color, threading your needle, anchoring it, and then doing the continental stitch. And then if you want to push yourself a little bit, you can try the basket weave or the catching stitch as well, but again, not essential. So there's lots of great tutorials on there, and yeah, we think they're a great resource.
Yeah, but they're all very easy. So even if you're a complete beginner and you're just like feeling confident, go for it. Go learn the basket weave and couching stitch because they can really help.
Yeah, so just with that, you should be totally fine. And we should also say, we're a small company, and so if you ever get stuck and you need more help, just shoot us a message, right?
Yep.
You can email us at hello@koiponstudio.com, or you can send us a DM on Instagram.
Yeah.
And Casey or I can help you out.
Yeah.
And we'd love to. We love talking to our customers.
And if you ever forget, it is on the back of your guide.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's next?
I think let's pull out the main thing that you're buying it for, which is the canvas. So each of our kits will come with whatever canvas you chose. So all of our designs are 13 count canvases. So that means that there's 13 holes per inch, which means it's easy to...
Yeah, it's a fairly large size. So all of our canvases come on 13 count canvas, meaning, like you said, 13 holes per inch. 13 holes per inch is a generally larger size compared to the other popular size, which is 18 holes. The reason why we went for 13 holes is it's a little bit easier to see. You make progress faster because like each stitch covers more space. So as a result, it's kind of more rewarding for beginners, I think, in a way, because you can make a lot of visual progress quite quickly. And yeah, it's just a bit easier to get your thread through it. So it's easy peasy.
And then all of our designs are stitch printed onto the canvas, which means that each intersection or cross on the canvas has one color assigned to it. So that means as you're stitching, you know which color thread to choose.
Yeah.
And then it's very much stitch what you see, paint by numbers.
Exactly. And one thing that we make a point of on the website is that isn't necessarily the industry standard. So that's something that we've really gone out of our way to ensure is true. It's just that you do get exactly one color per intersection, and that's actually quite a difficult thing for us to nail down, because this canvas material is not a uniform grid. There's ever so slight micro imperfections or micro millimeter differences between how the threads lay on top of each other, and as a result, if you were to just print using just a normal printer, it's very unlikely that you'll be able to get this level of accuracy where the middle of each intersection is exactly one color. So yeah, so we're very proud to be offering a product that is this high quality, where each color, each intersection is only one color. Just completely removes the guesswork for you as the stitcher, and means that it's really easy, relaxing. You will rarely, if ever, have to refer to a chart, and as a result, it's just going to be a much more enjoyable experience.
The other thing is the ink that is used to print it is a plant-based acrylic ink, which means that it's not your standard printer ink. And that means when you go to block it, which is usually done with steam, the ink's not going to run. Like, you can take water to this canvas and rub it and the ink will stay as is, which is great. I think that's why a lot of American needle pointers turn their nose up at some printed canvases, but this one is like it's like as if it was painted, however it's just printed instead.
Yeah, and arguably it's even better than hand painted because it's more consistently perfect.
Yeah,
than
and there's no bleed on the backside of the canvas. It's just
exactly
really nice.
Yeah. Like we love hand painted canvases, and like certainly hello Meatball. we love hand painted canvases, and certainly like there's some really good painters out there, but if you are buying from someone that you've never bought from before and you are unsure of the quality of their work, like some painters can be more inaccurate than others, and that does unfortunately mean that your experience as the stitcher might not be as good. Whereas because our product is printed and is consistently printed, you're getting a perfectly printed canvas every single time.
Awesome.
And yeah, I think one last thing to talk about is the binding.
Oh yes, I forgot. So needlepoint canvases are starched so that they have this stiffness to them. So if you just have the canvas alone, it can be a bit scratchy to hold and uncomfortable. And so to soften that experience, I've added this lovely bias tape binding around the sides, and that is sewn on by me personally. So you get extra love in each kit. I mean, it's all packed by me as well, but my hand has gone into this product.
Exactly.
And if there's any imperfections in the actual sewing, just as long as it feels nice in the hand, that's all that matters. You're going to cut it away at the end anyways.
Yeah, exactly. And it does make it much nicer to hold. And yeah, Casey does it herself, and so hopefully.
And I even miter the corners if you know what that means.
No half measures. You know, we really care about the product. We want to offer something that's very high quality. So yeah, hopefully you guys appreciate it. Cool.
Next one.
Next thing.
Shall we do our stitch guide next?
Yeah.
So, like we said, our canvases are stitch printed, so there are only one color per intersection. However, sometimes with some of our canvases, the contrast between some of the colors is hard to see depending on what light you're working in. If you're in like very good light, you should be able to see it. But sometimes if you're in a dim room, you might be straining your eyes. So we do provide a stitch chart just so that you can go and check your colors. For this canvas, to be honest, you don't really need it, but it is helpful just in case. But for, say, our Dutch oven, really it's like the reds, the bat wings, sometimes the dark gray and the black is hard to see. And then the fairy wings, sometimes the medium and dark green can be hard to see on the printed canvas. But that's all to say, it's usually just a couple stitches that you might be unsure of, and you can refer to the chart just to make sure, stitch those ones, and then from there, it's, the rest should be pretty straightforward. You don't need it for the whole project.
Exactly, and the vast majority of the canvas and the vast majority of people who buy it will not need the chart at all, probably. Like, you can just look at what you stitch, what you see, as we often say. But yeah, we include it just in case. It's really like an accessibility thing as well, because some people like find it harder to distinguish between certain colors than others. So yeah. And
they do have, I chose to do the symbol guide because even when it's like printed on paper, sometimes it's hard to see the contrast between colors. So you can just refer to the symbol chart and then look at the actual stitch chart thing.
Exactly. So it's there, just in case.
Cool. So let's go into this little packet. So this contains, well, let's just open it up. Inside, you've got your needles. So let's talk about these first. These are John James tapestry needles. They are created here in the UK, so we love supporting UK businesses. You've got 2 needles, just in case you lose one, because if you're stitching on your couch, you are most likely going to drop it, and then you'll want a backup. So you've got a backup just in case you need it. And these are the correct size for our 13 mesh canvases. So there you go. They're really good quality. I find that it's the eye of the needle is nice and big, so it's really easy to thread your needle. And then the actual stitching process is very smooth.
Yeah, and they're not too pointy, right?
Yes. So because they're tapestry needles, they have a very blunt end to them. Because the holes of the needlepoint canvases are quite big, so they don't need to be sharp in order to go through. So that's another reason why I like needlepoint compared to embroidery, say, because the needles aren't sharp. So even if you do like kind of stab yourself, you're not really stabbing yourself. Whereas when I do embroidery, there are definitely way more expletives being thrown out as I stab myself over and over.
Yeah. And so yeah, we send them out to you in this like little bit of
Scrap.
bit of scrap canvas. It just keeps it tidy and holds it nicely.
Hopefully it makes it easier to find within your bag.
Exactly.
Rather than just some loose needles.
Rather than literally looking for a needle.
Yeah, needle in a thread stack.
In a thread stack, yeah.
So the other thing that is in the bag are all the threads you need to stitch your canvas. And we are very generous in the threads we provide. Like, you should have lots of excess. And we did debate, like, do we give you just what you need? Like, for this canvas, you definitely aren't going to use all the light gray. But, you know, if you're a crafter, sometimes you want the threads for other projects and stuff. So I figure, give it all.
Yeah, it's more than that. It's we know that a lot of people who are buying our stuff are beginners, people who have never done needlepoint before. We designed it with that person in mind, and the nice thing about having excess thread is that you can make mistakes, right? So if you accidentally stitch the wrong color for a bit, or you get yourself into a knot somehow and you need to like rip out a few stitches, you don't have to worry about running out. Like, you got plenty of thread in there. And that's actually one of the key things that has come through in the first few reviews that we've got from our customers, is that they really appreciate the fact that they don't have to worry about running out of thread and they can just go for it. So yeah, just go for it.
Just go for it. Let me just talk about the thread that we chose. So this was obviously a big decision on what we wanted to kit our kits with. And I landed on DMC stranded cotton thread. So this is a very common thread used in embroidery. It is sometimes called embroidery floss. You'll find it in craft stores. And so it's made up of a thread that can be split into 6 strands. So for when you do embroidery, you might use 2 strands and so on. But for our needlepoint kits, you can use all 6 strands. It's the perfect thickness for the 13 count canvases. So you would locate the barcode label, and then that's the end that you want to pull your thread from, and then you can thread your needle and stitch it as is.
Yeah, it just makes it so much easier. You're not having to like separate out threads to get started. You just pull it out and thread your needle exactly as it is.
Yes. So DMC does do another version of thread called pearl cotton. It's twisted together, so it's one thread. It's not strandable. But I think stranded cotton looks nicer. It lies flatter. And there's more color options in the stranded version. So that's why I went with stranded cotton. And then why I went with DMC in particular is they're globally known. You can find them in the States, you can find them in the UK. They're a French brand, but they're well known because they're well known because no matter where you go, the color will be consistent. So that means if you get 151 in the UK and then go to the US, you should be able to pick up the same skein and it'll be an exact match. Whereas when you go to some of the smaller not hand-dyed, but like smaller thread companies, there's not a guarantee that the threads will be the exact same color between the different batches. So then you'll have to pay attention to something called dye lot. And then it just makes it harder to keep it consistent, especially if you're doing like a large area like background or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's why we've gone with DMC.
So by supplying DMC, it means that we get to supply a more consistent product as well. So whatever colors that you see us use, like for example here or on our social media, will be the exact same colors that you get in your kit, and you're going to get the exact same tint, tone and shade of that particular color. It's not going to be any darker or more orange or more green or whatever. It'll be exactly the same because DMC is very consistent, and they're pretty much one of the only companies who are able to achieve that level of consistency at scale. And so yeah, we're really proud to be stocking DMC. It also feels really nice.
Yeah, it's very nice stitching with cotton. Like we've done wool before, wool's great because it's very durable, but it can be a bit scratchy, and it's like, I don't know, there's something about stitching with cotton, which is also very durable. DMC cotton is also color steadfast, so it will wear well with time. If you need to wash it, or if you leave it out in the sun, it's not going to fade. So it's just a really good thread.
Yeah, it's a really good thread. Like my first project before we had started this company was with a company in America, and they supplied like quite a thick wool thread.
It was a 3-ply wool that you had to ply.
Right, and like I found that it got like a bit like wispy around the edges, like bits would like kind of come off the edge, and like it was fine, but certainly when we started making our own stuff and I tried stitching with DMC, I was like, oh, this is like much more enjoyable. It's much smoother, and then it feels really nice when you finish it as well. So yeah, it's really good quality stuff.
We'll do another episode on our podcast going into all the different thread types, I think, because I'm a bit of a fiber nerd, and I there's benefits and pros and cons to each fiber type of thread. Yeah. Great.
Brilliant. What's next?
So then our final little baggie in our kit is our Needlepoint Essentials. That comes free in all of our kits. So the first thing I've pulled out is our handy dandy seam ripper. So if I take off the cap, and then you can put it on the end to make it a bit longer. So the seam ripper is used to, if you make a mistake, it makes it easy to rip out your stitches and start over. So it features a pointy end and then a red ball, and then between that is the blade. So you would kind of wiggle this under your stitches, push it through, it will rip your stitches, and then you can kind of pull the threads out. Yeah,
so it's really handy if, for example, you get you accidentally like split your strands and you make a knot or something like that, and it gets a bit tangled. It does happen occasionally, and so it's very handy to have this to just kind of rip it out, undo it, and like we said earlier, we give you plenty of thread, so you don't have to worry about ripping out even quite a lot of stitches. You'll still have plenty of thread to go. Yeah. You
technically you could use scissors to cut up your threads, your mistake, but it's just a bit risky, you can't get as close to the canvas. So this is great for just really targeting those stitches that you want to rip out.
Exactly, yeah. It's a much more precise tool than a pair of scissors, and so that's why we think it's a worthwhile gift to include as part of our kits.
Yeah.
And yeah, hopefully it gives you a little bit more like insurance if you're a beginner and you're unsure whether, if you make a mistake, what you're able to do. Like this gives you like a backup.
Yeah. And if you do other crafts, it's always handy to have a seam ripper on hand. I will say, so the way you're supposed to use a seam ripper is with the red ball side down, so that you're not going to accidentally catch your fabric and rip it. But I find it's hard to get the ball underneath your stitches. So if you're very careful, I like switching it around so that the pointy end can slide under the stitch. The canvas is quite thick and stiff, so you should be able to feel that you're just going under your threads as opposed to under the canvas, and then gently push through.
Exactly. Yep.
And then it comes with a cap, so you don't stab yourself.
We love not stabbing ourselves.
Great. So next up is, I think, everyone's favorite tool that they get in the kit, based on reviews, based on Pete's input.
I am fanatical about these little scissors that we provide as part of our kits. We call them super snips. They're excellent. Do you want to take the cap off just to show people how that works?
Yeah, so first of all, they come with this nice little cap so that you're not going to be stabbing yourself, or, you know, you throw it into your project bag, it's not going to snag on anything, but you just grab it and then gently pull up, and then you've got the cutest little pair of scissors. They've got a very tiny but sharp blade, which is perfect for getting really close to the canvas. It's like, yeah. If you try using normal small scissors, you'll find that they're too blunt to really get right up in there, where these ones are really good for just cutting your thread, and they travel well.
Yeah, the blade is short enough to go on planes. We've brought, you know, we took these on a flight to Copenhagen quite recently, and absolutely no problem at all. So
yeah, I mean, check your airline policies, but for most planes, I think it is safe. Like, the blade is less than an inch.
Yeah, and it's really enjoyable. And you know, before we had our own stuff, we were just like using random scissors to like cut threads, and you know, you'd find like you try and cut it and it would like pull and it wouldn't quite like cut it cleanly. Yeah. Whereas these are just like so consistently excellent. You just go, and it's super convenient.
I've got these like all over the house. I love having my little snips.
Yeah, and the Koi Pond Studio Blue, of course.
Yeah, they match your bag.
They match your bag. It's all matching. Yeah.
Great. So those are our snips. And then the final thing in our bag are our needle threaders. So we actually provide 2 of them. Again, just in case you drop one down on your sofa and lose it. In fact, my mom ordered a kit recently and she started stitching, and she told me that she lost one of her threaders in the bed. And I was like, well, you've got a spare, so there you go. That's why we do it.
Yeah.
So the threaders, you would just insert this side into the eye of your needle, and then you can lay your thread on top and pull it through. It's very simple, and I like how low profile these metal ones are. And if you do have a needle minder, which is essentially just a magnet, these are magnetic, so then that makes it easier to keep everything contained if you're using a needle minder.
Yeah, Casey's made some tutorials where she shows you how to thread your needle without a threader, but I gotta say, it's so much easier if you do have a threader, and so that's why we want to make sure that you guys just have the easiest experience possible.
Yeah. I also like using the threaders for if you leave a very short tail, right? So you've stitched and then you kind of stitch too much, so you've got a very short tail and it's hard to kind of pull your needle through. A trick that I do is that, like, I'll bury the needle to where I want it to go, unthreaded, and then I will insert the threader, thread the needle that way, and then I can pull my needle through. That's like a pro move.
Whoa.
But that's usually how I use these threaders.
Ah, that's very smart.
Thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got 2.
So you got 2.
That's it.
And I think that's it. Yeah. So we've covered it. So hopefully that tells you a little bit more about what's in the box. Hopefully it also teaches you a little bit about the world of needlepoint and all the different options that are available to you. But
yeah.
I
will say that, you know, to do needlepoint, the only thing that is really required is a canvas, needle, thread, and scissors, right? But I think these extra things like the bag, the threaders, and the seam ripper, they just elevate the experience to make it really beginner friendly.
Exactly. And hopefully, as you can tell, we put a lot of thought into every element of this kit. We genuinely think there's no easier way to get started with needlepoint than to use one of our kits. So yeah, if you're interested, go check out our website, koiponstudio.com. We got 9 different designs available, very limited stock, and we'd love for you to give it a go.
Yeah.
Great, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.